I've missed you. How have you been?
We've not missed you at all. Well, because you're never away from us.
Very true. So my first question is, I'm an employee right now, but I dream of me being, an entrepreneur and a business owner, of many different things. And maybe I'm thinking I'm needing to be more patient in letting that come to me, because I know it's coming.
Well, maybe, but let's just go back to the word employee.
Okay.
You said that a little bit like a disease.
Good to know. Okay.
In other words, it was a clear awareness that you're not where you want to be. And you can't get to where you want to be from knowing where you don't want to be. That's that invisible door right there. In other words, it just showed itself to us with almost the first words out of your mouth. So you have to make peace with being an employee. Being an employee has been good for you, because in being an employee, in bondage and in not being appreciated and in not getting as much money as you deserve. In other words, all of those things have caused you to really make a lot of contributions to your vibrational escrow. So being an employee has really served you weller than you could even begin to know. As we look into your vibrational escrow, so much of it is there because of what you've been living. So if you could find a way of, instead of feeling the discord about not having already moved from that, but instead you could feel appreciation for the contrast and what it's put into your vibrational escrow, but then even on a more deliberate, specific front or attitude, to begin to specifically look for things that cause you to easily make peace with being an employee. In other words, you could say things to yourself with no reason other than to soothe yourself. While I am an employee, I am able to look at what's going on around me and help define the things that I would like to be different in my personal companies. While I am here, I have the advantage of getting to sift through all of this. I have the advantage of getting to know what it's like, what it feels like on this side of the equation. And I believe that in being this employee, that I am putting into vibrational escrow of all of my future employees, because there will be many of them, wonderful things. In other words, I know what I would like, and I'm putting it there for them. But I can't line up with that and feel the way I feel over here. So what are the advantages of being an employee? What would it be like? What will my employees feel like? In other words, you want to be an entrepreneur, but we promise you, you're not going to want to do all those things yourself. So you're going to need plenty of employees.
Right.
And if you have already considered employee as something unwanted, then there's cross current. In other words, you don't want to put somebody else in the position of having to live what you have already defined that you don't want to live.
Perfect.
What do you say to your employees? Oh, I feel bad for you. I was one of you once. And it was awful. It was awful. I was in the same bondage that you all are in. But now I am an entrepreneur and you are employees, you see. You got to sort that out. In other words, being an employee, what's that about? It gives you an opportunity to step into someone else's dream. It gives you an opportunity to be part of some momentum that they've already got going. It gives them an opportunity, gives them an opportunity to find out who they are and decide what their likes and dislikes are. It gives them an option, an opportunity to have money flowing to them without the responsibility of making sure that this ship is always afloat. In other words, there are so many advantages, wonderful advantages to be an employee. And when you make peace with that, then you make peace with what's in your vibrational escrow, and then it opens easily.
That's it.
That is it.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Do you think there is anyone that you more often put in your vibrational escrow than your own children? In other words, is there anything that evokes desire from you more powerfully than that? And yet, you didn't come to live their life. They came forth to live their life. And they didn't come for a feathered nest. And often when you stand in a place that you don't want to be, you wish somebody had feathered your nest a little better. But we notice that an over-feathered nest begins to feel like prison. And we've seen you all. We've known you for so long. We know that you didn't come forth for someone else to create your reality. You came forth to create it. And you weren't just beginning when you came. You are old souls who have come with powerful intention. You're not just getting started. You're not new at this game of creation. You've come with powerful intent to create. So what you want most, and if you will think about it, you know it's true. What you want most is your knowledge of your empowerment. It's what you want most. And every negative emotion that you ever feel is because you're focused upon something that's making you feel disempowered or not free in some way. You want your own empowerment, and you are not different from everyone else you know. Everyone wants to be self-empowered. So if everyone naturally wants to be self-empowered, and self-empowerment comes from coming into alignment with who you are and with the power of who you are, can you see how almost all effort at helping someone, even though we know it's the Good Samaritan thing to do, it's the humanitarian thing to do, it's the uplifting thing to do, it's the thing of service to do, even though all of those platitudes have been ringing in your ears for a very long time, when you do something for another, nice as it may seem to onlookers or even to the one who you're doing it for, you are also sending another message that says, I see you cannot do this for yourself, therefore I am doing it for you. And that is a powerful message that, if they hear it often enough, will disempower them. And having that message and that disempowerment sweep over them is like having a pillow pressed to your face. Eventually, you'll have your little tantrum because you must be free. You were born to be free. You must be free. You are born to be free. So now, as you understand that your freedom does not depend upon what anyone else does, but it has everything to do with your vibrational gap, your sense of freedom is about your alignment with who you are, who is free or not. That's all it is. Now you get to leave everybody else out of the equation, and now you can go easily to freedom. So then these special children come along who don't get tempted away from who they are, who are experiencing a sense of freedom. They're just different, but they're experiencing a sense of freedom. They're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. They're living on their own terms. And then when well-meaning people say over and over, I see you cannot do this for yourself, then the contrast becomes so great. And that's when you begin to see behavioral difficulties. Just ask yourself, what do you appreciate most? Someone coming to you and saying, good for you. Good job. Or someone coming to you and saying, that could have been done better. What feels better to you? Someone catching you in a mistake and amplifying it, or someone catching you in a success and amplifying it? What feels better to you? Doing it yourself, even if it's not as good from your sense of autonomy, or having someone do it for you from their sense that you can't do it? In other words, once you get that clear, once you understand who you are and why you've come forth, and that there is no right way to do anything, there are as many perspectives of life as there are perceivers of life, then it becomes much more easy to allow the world, the individuals of the world, to do whatever it is that they are doing, while you do the only thing you ever could do and ever can do, which is manage your own vibration. And when you manage your own vibration, life is sweet. And when you worry about what others are doing, you're not managing your own vibration. So, let's say that you're moving through your day and something happens with someone. And it always is someone you care about, otherwise you wouldn't feel any emotion. Someone you don't know calls you on the telephone and says, hello, you don't know me. I'm just calling to tell you I will never call you again. You would say, okay, thanks for letting me know. But if you care about this person and they tell you that, you would feel strong negative emotions. So you're moving through your day and something happens which causes you to feel negative emotion. In other words, you know what you don't want, and it's pointedly vivid for you. In that moment, you launch a rocket of desire, a preference, a vibrational asking emanates from you, and the source within you rides that rocket and gives undivided attention to that improved preference that this piece of life has just caused you to ask for, and holds steady the vibrational tone of that, includes it into that point of attraction, into that focal point of attraction, and literally absorbs it. And now law of attraction begins immediately to respond to this becoming point. Can you feel that? Now the question that this workshop wants to ask and answer is, so now life has caused you to expand and the larger part of you has taken the expansion and has now become it. The question is, what are you doing on that same point? And if you're like most humans, for a while at least, you're beating the drum of justification about why you want this, which means you're holding yourself apart from your improvement. And the negative emotion that you feel is your indicator that you're holding yourself apart from the improvement. That really is the only thing that we want to express to you in a way that you can really feel it. If you can get it, that every negative emotion you feel means the same thing every single time. It means life has caused you to expand to another point and you're not letting yourself go right now because you're holding to something that's keeping you from going there. You're resisting your own evolution. And we want you to understand that nothing ever upsets you or makes you unhappy than that. We know it feels like it's somebody else's fault, but it isn't somebody else's fault because nobody else can get inside of you and perceive. Nobody else can hold the tone of your vibration. Of course you can be influenced to a vibration. And we don't blame you a bit for being upset if somebody influences you to a vibration that doesn't feel good. But you're in charge of your vibration. And when you get that, you will finally, maybe for the first time ever, but once and for all, be free. When you get it, that the way you feel is only about your attention to some subject, then you're free. Esther said to Jerry the other day, I'm on the brink of discomfort over something had happened. I have a sort of edginess. She said, let's go for a walk or let's sit and meditate. I want to shake this off. I'm on the brink of discomfort. And then she laughed and said, I want to be on the brink of appreciation. That's the brink I want to be on. I know I can't hold myself in off-the-wall appreciation and enthusiasm forevermore, but I can sure hang around in the vicinity of appreciation. I'm going to reach for thoughts that hold me on the brink of appreciation so that in any moment I could just slip right over into appreciation. I don't want to be on the brink of a nervous breakdown. I'm on the brink. I'm on the brink of a nervous breakdown, and you are probably going to be the one that puts me over the edge. We want you to be on the brink of appreciation, and you are probably going to be the one that puts me over the edge. And when you get hanging around on that brink of appreciation, all kinds of wonderful things happen. Esther is in the ladies' room at a restaurant, and she hears in the room next door a mother and a child talking with one another. And the mother is saying, oh, honey, apparently there had been a wetting of the clothes accident. And mother said, oh, honey, it's not your fault. I should have brought you when you first told me that you needed to go. And the child said, that's all right, Mommy. And Esther thought, ooh, I must have been hanging out on the brink of appreciation because here I got to hear this loving exchange between mother and child. In other words, when you're on the brink of appreciation, it's like living in a sort of Disney movie and the bird swoops in just at the right time and the little bunny comes up and wiggles its nose at you and you look out the window of your office and the squirrel is twitching its tail. Some people are gagging over that sort of thing, as if no one should live with all that's going on in the world. Who deserves to live like that? And we say, you all do. You all deserve to hang out on the brink of appreciation. It's who you are. The source within you isn't hanging out on the brink of appreciation. The source within you went all the way. Even when you're living something that you consider to be awful, the source within you went all the way into love and all the way into appreciation. And if you're complaining about anything, the only thing that you're complaining about is source went off and felt good and you didn't go. I'm going to blame source. I'm going to blame source. If source would come over here and complain with me, there'd be no gap and I'd feel good. And we say, you trained your mother to go over there with you, didn't you? In other words, you trained your friend, be here with me. You train your mates. Back me up on this, you say. Back me up on this. You need to back me up. I know I'm hateful and belligerent, and I know I'm on the brink of a nervous breakdown, but come over here and back me up. And we say, Source won't back you up. Source won't come over there to back you up. Source remains over here with who you have become, and not only backs you up, fulfills you, sustains you, is you. But you have to do the work of alignment. You must do the work of alignment, you see.